Is this recording? Oh, I think we're recording. So hi, hello, and welcome to my first ever YouTube video. I'm not gonna lie, I have been bricking this. I've wanted to do YouTube for the longest time and just have never ever taken the plunge. I've always been super nervous of what people are gonna think and say, but after buying my house I just thought it was the perfect opportunity to start YouTube and to share my journey with people. Give it a huge thumbs up if you do like it or you did find it useful, and I'd super appreciate if you could subscribe. So my journey to buying my house began in January 2019, and I started the year like every year with a goal board, and for the first time ever I decided to put a house on my goal board. I went to the range and I got like the biggest bit of card and printed off all the pictures of everything that I wanted to achieve that year. I am such a believer in the law of attraction and the universe, which is why I am so on it with goal setting, having lists of everything that I want to achieve. The real turning point was when I was away with my dad and my stepmom, and we were just chilling in the hot tub. We just got on the topic of me buying a house, and I've rented since I was 18 years old, so I've rented for the past 4 years. I've always had big outgoings, so the thought of buying a house was always a really nervous topic for me, because obviously I'm buying it on my own and I just didn't know whether I had enough funds to get one. With that being said, when I had a chat with them, the first thing they said was price up what house you want, speak to a mortgage advisor and see what your affordability is, and go and have a look at some houses to see what it is you want. So the weekend after, I met my dad and my stepmom and we went around 4 developments in the area where I wanted to buy my house. I am actually from York, but I decided that I wanted to move out of York for my first house. So we went and looked at 4 different developments around the area, and there was one development, my dad was like, let's go and see it, and I was such a stuck up and I point blank refused to go and see this development. I'd not heard a lot of good things about the developers. Here I am sat in a house by one of the developers, so I actually refused to look at this house and the site. However, a week after, I went to my friend's house and we were just sat chatting, and I'd asked her who developed her house and she told me it was Persimmon. And I was shocked, like her house is unreal. So myself and my friend went straight over to that developer and I got myself a brochure and spoke to the sales advisor. Now there was no show homes at the time when I went, but I didn't want to reserve a house without seeing what it looked like. Which I think is understandable. I know I'm still buying off plan, but I still wanted to see like a house that had been built or something like that. So luckily the guy was really nice and he let us see a house that had just been finished. Now there was nothing in it, there was no flooring, the kitchen wasn't in yet, but it was just to give me a bit of an idea and a bit of a feel of what the house was like. So I decided, yeah, I really liked the house. So I rang a mortgage advisor. This is super important. You need to speak to a mortgage advisor if you are contemplating buying a house, because they will tell you what you can and can't afford. What they will take is your salary. They will ask you what deposit you currently have or what you think you'll have, and they will deduct any big debts that you have. So for example, if you have a student loan, or in my case it was my PCP on my car, which gets deducted off the total amount that I can borrow for my mortgage. So I rang my mortgage advisor up, I gave her the plot number and she had a look on the affordability checker. She did all my credit checks and she rang me back to let me know that I could afford it, and if I wanted to go ahead and reserve the house then I could. So at this point I was super excited. I decided that I was going to go and reserve the property. With a new build site, especially when you're buying off plan, there is usually always a reservation fee depending on the size of the house. So my reservation fee was £500. I had absolutely no idea that with a new build, you genuinely only get the shell of the house. You get basically nothing. You don't get your garden turfed, you don't get a fence, you don't get the nicest kitchen. Your bathroom's usually only half tiled, so if you wanted a shower above the bath, your walls are going to get soaking. There's just a few really irritating bits that are not included with new builds. So when I went for my reservation appointment, I had already found out that the other developers that I'd looked at give what was called a deposit contribution towards your deposit. Now, I was super clear when I went in and I said, I don't want to reserve the property unless I can get a deposit contribution. I was under the impression that a deposit contribution meant that it would be deducted. So let's say that your deposit is £10,000 and they are offering £4,000. I was under the impression that that £4,000 would get deducted off the total amount, so I would only have to save the £6,000. This wasn't the case. However, when I spoke to the guy, I don't know how I didn't realise, because this guy is a salesperson, like he can tell me what he wants. They told me that, yeah, it was definitely deducted and it would mean that I have to save less. So I was like, perfect. So I went the next day for my actual reservation appointment, because it usually takes around an hour. You have to pay the reservation fees and get all your files and everything like that. So when I went for my reservation appointment, I just wanted to be super clear with them that this money was going to be deducted from my deposit and from what I needed to save. Even then, the sales advisor was like, yeah, like, that's correct. Thank the universe, like honestly, thank the universe, the site manager walked in, to which he corrected the sales advisor and actually told me it's not deductible. I would still have to save the full deposit on my own and they would just be giving me £4,500 on top of my deposit. In some cases, that's brilliant, because it actually means that you've then got an extra £4,000 in the house that's yours. However, as a first-time buyer, I don't really need my money in my house. I need it right now for things like furniture, for white goods, for everything like that. So at this point, everything came crashing down. I was so upset, because I just thought trying to save that extra £4,500 is going to be so difficult when I've got to save for absolutely everything else, including flooring, my white goods. So I actually took the £500 away with me and I told them, you know, it's just not working. I then rang my mortgage advisor when I was in the car on the way home, and I explained the situation to her and said, you absolutely do not need the deposit contribution. They are salespeople, you know, they've got so much that they can offer you, but they're just not yet. So she told me to basically ring them and say, I will not reserve unless you give me £4,500 worth of extras in the house. This advice changed everything, because I had no idea what £4,500 was going to get me. So I rang Persimmon, I rang them back up and I explained the situation, that I would not reserve unless they were able to give me these extras. Within half an hour, they then rang me back. They offered me flooring throughout the full house, an upgraded kitchen, all of my white goods included, so a fridge, freezer and a washing machine integrated. I was going to get an upgraded bathroom with a fully tiled bath, upgraded shower, turfed garden, fence. They offered to pay £500 towards my legal fees, and honestly at this point I'm not expecting them to give me anywhere near that. So when they rang me and told me, I was like, oh my god. So then I just texted him to let him know that I'll be there the next day with the £500 to reserve. My tip here is to haggle. Push them as hard as you can, because they have stuff there that they can give you. In my case, I have to say it's extreme. I don't actually know anyone that did get as much as that when they bought the house, but still try. So anyway, I reserved the house. I then had to ring the solicitors. I used who they'd recommended, because obviously they were giving me £500 towards my fees. So I rang the solicitors to let them know, and they informed me that I would need to exchange within 4 weeks of reservation. Now, in usual cases, you would exchange and complete the same day, especially if you're buying a house that is not a new build. However, because I was buying mine off plan, so it hadn't been built yet, rather than exchanging on the full deposit, I negotiated with my solicitor that I would actually exchange on a £4,000 deposit. So after I had exchanged, obviously the next big step is completion. But in the meantime, your mortgage advisor is setting you up with the mortgage lender, you're getting all your information from them, and also you're getting your statements through from the solicitors, because you need to start paying them instantly. The reason being is because they need to come and survey the house, have to come and check the plot, check that everything's right and that the house is actually of the value that Persimmon was stating that it was. And if you are getting a new build, you need to make sure that you can get at least a chunk of the deposit within 4 weeks. So between exchange and completion, there was a lot of house checks. So I kept going as many weekends as I could to see the house. Then the exciting part comes in, which is picking your kitchen and your bathroom and everything in the house. And so I went in for my kitchen appointment and my finishing touches appointment. I had 3. So it took me 2 meltdowns and 2-hour appointments before I finally decided, when they told me that if I don't decide today, they will pick everything for me. So on my 3rd appointment, I went and picked the best kitchen that I could out of the range. I also got to pick my flooring and my bathroom tiles, which again was super exciting, but it is really difficult. You are given, like, it's about this big, like the little like slab of flooring that you can choose from, so you have no idea what it's going to look like in your full house. You've got no idea what the kitchen's actually going to look like once it's in situ, so it's quite a big decision, not gonna lie. So yeah, this was all done by March. What I would say is, you are usually given a window when you are buying a new build. I was given a window of between June and August. My biggest tip is to save for the worst case and earliest case scenario. So obviously I had between June and August. I was saving the rest of my deposit from March until whenever completion was. So from March till June I was saving the rest of the bulk of the deposit, all of my solicitor's fees, everything like that. So you need to be budgeting as if it's going to be the earliest date, because the last thing that you want to do is think that you had July and August to save the rest of that money and your property is ready early. If I hadn't budgeted for that, I would have been in real trouble, because you know, if you don't have the funds there and then everything can fall through. And even upon exchanging on the property, it can still fall through, especially if you've got another credit check that needs to go through. You can't be getting things on finance between reserving and completing, because anything that can go negatively against your credit file could cost you your mortgage. So just another tip in the meantime. So on completion, this is the day where your solicitors will request the funds from yourself and send them to your developer's solicitors. So what will happen is, when your house is fully complete, your developer will serve what's called notice, and that will inform your solicitor that we are ready to complete and they are ready to release the keys. Your solicitors will then send you your final balance, which you need to budget for this. Mine was £1,300 short the whole time, and then on the day of completion it was £1,300 more expensive, and I had completely missed this the whole time, that there was an error. So you've got to be on the ball and making sure that all of the finances are correct, because when I was seeing these figures, all I was thinking was, oh, amazing, it means I've got to pay less. I got stung right at the end. So please make sure that you are saving over and above what you need, just to have a buffer. So on completion, as soon as the funds have gone through, they are then eligible to release the keys. I had my home demo before, so I was obviously super excited, but it's so nervous waiting for your keys, because if there's one issue, one problem, it delays it by a day, it can delay it by a couple of days. And your girl had some furniture deliveries coming the day of completion. It was so lucky that everything ended up running smoothly, because I had the car loaded, I had my bed arriving, there was so much that I had happening that day that if they turned around and said to me there'd been an issue, I would have been absolutely shafted. But I'm a big believer in the universe, so your gal packed her car ready. So obviously the most exciting bit is picking up your keys and getting to go into your house and know that it's yours. Like, I literally walked through the door and I was just like, this is my house, like, this is mine. One of the main messages that I do want to say is, though, the importance of having goals. You visualize it everywhere, you have it on a goal board, set as your background on your phone, constant reminders of what you want to achieve. You will achieve it. And I'm not saying put a picture of a Range Rover on a goal board and you're going to be driving a Range Rover halfway through the year. You know, you have to make some sacrifice. But be smart, be savvy. Do you really need to be paying for your Netflix membership? Are you even going to the gym? If you're not, just cancel it, because it's money that you could be putting towards furniture or your council tax bill, your gas, your electric, your solicitor's fees. There's a lot of costs involved in moving and buying your first house. So if there's ways that you can start cutting out costs for yourself, obviously do it, because it will help you in the long run. But I'm going to stop rambling because my camera is flashing red at me, which I think means it's going to die. So I'm going to end this here. Thank you so much for watching my video, and please give it a thumbs up if you found it useful or you've enjoyed watching it. And Obviously, with it being my first video, I would super appreciate any support that you can give me. So if you could subscribe to my YouTube channel, that would be a huge help and I would really appreciate it. So thank you for watching and I hope you all have a lovely day.